Welcome to your everyday math lesson, 5th grade, lesson 6.3. So unit 6 has a lot of different things that we're going to use, including decimals. We're going to work with fractions. We're going to work with volume. We're going to work with a lot of things that we've kind of practiced with earlier this year, and we're just taking it a little bit further. So with that in mind, we've talked about converting metric units. We talked about changing with King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. Remember, we did that before. So King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. And we talked about how that works and how we can change numbers and convert numbers. So that's one thing that you need to kind of remember when we're doing this. I will attach the video to the lesson, some of the videos to the lesson today that I did that explains that process. We're going to start today with our math message. So this is my math message. There are 100 centimeters in a meter. Use this information to write a rule in the function machine. Then complete the what's my rule table. So I first need to figure out my rule, and then I need to find my answers. I want you to think about this for just a second. 100 centimeters is 1 meter. So if I put 1 meter in, what do I do to that number to figure out how many centimeters that is? Okay, so for this box, for this machine, my rule will be multiply by 100. The reason why that is my rule is because, again, for every 1 meter I have, that is 100 centimeters. So with that in mind, we're going to fill out this box. I want you to take a moment, fill out this chart using the rule, and then I want you to hit continue. Make sure that the chart is filled out before you continue the video. All right, so 2 times 100 will be 200. 3 times 100 is 300. 400 and 500. I think that was super simple, super easy. When we're doing conversions, we can think of it as simple rules. We're going to multiply or divide to move the decimal to make the number larger or smaller. So we're going to use this idea for our lesson today. So this again is on page 201 in your Everyday Math Workbook, Volume 2. We're going to start by converting between the given units. So we're going to do the what's my rule table using exponential notation to write each rule. So let's revisit this one up here, because if I'm multiplying by 100, technically I could say I'm multiplying by 10 to the second, because that's how you write 100 in exponential form, right? So now we're going to think about converting between centimeters and millimeters. So for every 1 centimeter is 10 millimeters. So centimeters will go in, millimeters will come out. What did I do to this 1 in order to get to the 10? Well, I multiplied by 10 to the first. I multiplied by 10 to the first. That is my rule. Let's fill out the rest of this table. So 3 times 10 to the first is 30. I move my decimal 1 spot, so here's my decimal. I would move it 1 spot and put a 0 in that place, right? Same idea with this. Take that decimal, move it 1 spot. 47. This is where it gets tricky. Now we're going backwards. We have our millimeters and we need to go to centimeters. So this time my decimal will move to the left. So if my decimal is here, I move to the left 1 spot. My answer would be 5.0 or 5. My decimal is right here. I move it 1 spot. My answer is 0.5. My decimal is now right before that 5. I want you to see if you can figure out the next one. So imagine my decimal is here. What would my answer be? How many centimeters is 17 millimeters? For this answer, if I move my decimal 1 space, it would go right between the 1 and the 7. So my answer would be 1.7. So write a rule that you could use to convert from millimeters to centimeters. Well, this is my rule going this way. So what did we do to go this way? I want you to pause the video, see if you can think of a rule. Write it down. When you're done, hit continue. Well, to me, this is super simple. I'm not going to multiply. I'm going to divide. It's going to get smaller. So I'm going to divide by 10 to the first. Do you see how the rules are the same, but it's just a different function? I'm going to multiply to go one way, divide to go the other. It's a big hint. You're going to have to figure out the rule in a minute on this one. Okay, let's do this next question. I have 1,000 grams equals 1 kilogram. How did I get from 1,000 to 1? What do you think my rule is going to be for this box? For this specific one, I'm going to divide by 1,000. I know that 1,000 divided by 1,000 equals 1. Now, I need to write it in exponential notation. So I'm going to divide by 10 to the what power? 3 zeros, third power. That's what you're going to do. All right? Now, keep that in mind. Since we're dividing, we're going to pretend that this has a decimal. So I'm going to put my decimal right here past that 0. Dividing by 10 to the third, which means I move 3 decimal places. 1, 2, 3. So my answer for this one would be 2.5. I want you to see if you can do the next one. 250 grams equals how many kilograms? All right, move that decimal 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. Put my 0 in front because there's no holes. So 0.250 would be my answer. Great. All right. Now we got to go backwards. I'm going to start with this side and I need to go this way. So what do you think I need to do? I'm going to now do the opposite. I'm going to multiply by 1,000, right? I'm going to move my decimal to the right 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. 8,000. Here it is. I'm going to go 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. 800. I want you to use this decimal here. Multiply by 10 to the third, or 1,000. Find your answer. What number would finish filling in this chart? All right. Moving that decimal 3 spaces. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. I have an empty space. So in that empty space, I put a 0. Your answer should have been 80. Now, looking at this one, I multiply by 10 to the first. To do the opposite, I divide by 10 to the first. So this table, I divide by 10 to the third. What rule could I use to go the opposite way? The opposite way, the opposite process. I'm not going to divide. I'm going to multiply by 10 to the third. That's how you do this. Awesome. All right. There are, number 4, there are 43 milligrams of caffeine in a bottle of iced tea. How many grams of caffeine is that? So 43 milligrams, how many grams is that? So answer the questions below to solve. So what am I converting to? Well, it starts out as milligrams, so mg. And I need to find my answer in grams. So I need to convert it to grams, a G. How are those units related? I want you to take a second. You can use, think about King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk if you would like. You can use any of our resources in our math workbook. See if you can figure out how many milligrams go into 1 gram. Take a second. See if you can figure it out and then hit continue. All right, so what we're going to do now, I wanted you to figure out how many milligrams are in 1 gram. So if I have 1 gram, this would be my decibel, I need to now convert it to milligrams. All right, so from grams to milligrams, I would move my decimal until it was right here by the milligrams, and then I would add my 3 circles. That's what I would do. So on this, it says, how are those units related? 1,000 milligrams equals 1 gram. So on my thing, though, since I'm going from milligrams to grams, to find that out, I'm going to need to move it this way. So I am going to divide. So I'm going to figure out my answer by dividing by 10 to the third because I moved 3 spaces. Does that make sense? So that is my rule, 10 to the third. So on my paper, I know that 1,000 milligrams equals 1 gram. And again, dividing by 10 to the third because I start here and I move my decimal 3 spaces. Let's try it with 43. So if I have 43 milligrams, my decimal should be here. Divide it by 10 to the third. If you divide by 10 to the third, how many grams would that be? One, 2, 3. So 0.043. That is your final answer. So 0.043 grams. Awesome. Now, we are going to keep going and we're going to continue with this lesson. We have some story problems to do on the next page. So now we're going to be on page 202. So now that we know how to do some of the conversions, we're going to use that to solve some story problems, which is awesome. Story problems are ways that you can think through everyday processes. So when I tell you we're converting metric system, you might think, well, I'm never going to use that. This will help you realize that you can use it. Does that make sense? So here we go. Number 1, Max has a shelf that is 1.3 meters high. If he places a lamp that is 45 centimeters on top of the shelf, what is the height from the floor to the top of the lamp in meters? So the first thing I realize is I have meters, centimeters, and my final answer has to be in meters. So for me, I'm going to convert to meters. That's what my answer needs to be in anyway, right? So I'm going to convert from centimeters to meters. From centimeters to meters. All right, so now we're going to go right here, and we're going to look at this. So 1 meter, so my decimal will be right here. Is 100 centimeters. Does that make sense why I did that? Start with 1 meter, and I go until I get to centimeters. 1 meter is worth 100 centimeters. So, how are they related? 100 centimeters equals 1 meter. What rule can you use to convert the problem to units so that you know how to solve the problem? Well, I'm trying to change it to meters. So if I have centimeters and I need to change it to meters, I'm going this way. So I'm going to divide. I am moving 2 spaces, so I'm dividing by 10 to the second. So we're going to divide by 10 to the second power. Now we need to do the math. So I'm going to start by converting that 45. I'm going to write it here. Dividing it by 10 to the second. Awesome. So now I need to think this through. Max has a shelf that's 1.3 meters high. He puts this on top, right? And now I need to know the total height. Well, if I need the total height, I'm going to add. So 1.3 plus 0.45. I'm going to line it up. And I'm going to add 0 plus 5 is 5, 3 plus 4 is 7, decimal, 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 and 1. 1.75 meters. That's how you would do that problem. Awesome. All right, now let's look at number 2. So Alida has a cough. Her mother gave her 10 milliliters of cough syrup and 0.5 liters of water. How many milliliters of liquid was Alida given in all? So first of all, in all, I'm going to add. Awesome. Now I need to figure out what I'm going to convert to. Well, my answer needs to be in milliliters. So that's what I'm going to do. I know that this one can stay the same. Absolutely. I'm going to leave that here because guess what? I don't need to know. I don't need to convert it. I do need to convert this one right here. I need to go from liters to milliliters. So how many liters? 1 liter equals how many milliliters? Okay, let's see. Going back to my little whiteboard here. This is going to help me. King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. I love this. Okay, 1 liter equals how many milliliters? So here's my decimal. Decimeters, centimeters, millimeters. 1 liter is 1,000 milliliters. Okay. So what am I going to do? I'm going to multiply 0.5 times, because I have to go, I'm getting bigger this time, times 10 to the third. What is 0.5 times 10 to the third? I might need to pause the video, see if you can figure it out. Let's see. Your answer should have been 500. Awesome. Now I need to add 500, and I did put my decimal, so just so I knew that it was there, just in case. 500 plus 10 is 510. Super simple. Time for number 3. Tina and Kyle are doing a 5-kilometer walk for charity. They passed a sign that said only 100 meters to go. How many kilometers had Tina and Kyle walked when they passed the sign? All right, so my answer needs to be kilometers, right? So I know I'm going to convert this number here. I also know that I need to know, it says how many kilometers had they already walked. That means I need to find the difference. That means I'm going to subtract. So I'm going to put that there so I know I'm going to subtract. Now let's find our thought process. Let's figure out what we need to do. So looking right here at my little helper chart here, I know that 1 kilometer is the same thing as 1,000 meters. Because again, this would be meters, so I have to move my decimal to meters. Right? Now, I'm going and transferring from meters to kilometers. I need to rename it that way. So when we move our decimal to the left, we know that we're going to divide. Right? Now, how many spaces will I move it? 1, 2, 3. So we're going to divide by 10 to the third. All right, here we go. So we know that 1,000 meters equals 1 kilometer. So I'm going to divide. So I'm going to do that 100 divided by 10 to the third. That's how I'm going to find my answer. 100 divided by 10 to the third is the same thing as 0.1 kilometers. And now I can subtract. So 5.0 kilometers, that's the 5K, minus 0.1 equals what? Well, 5 turns to a 4. 9. 4 minus 0 is 4. Don't forget your decimal. 4.9 kilometers. There you go. I know these are tricky. I get it. Here we go, my last question. There are 8 servings in a large container of orange juice. Each serving has 60 milligrams of vitamin C. How many grams of vitamin C are in the whole container? So, timeout, freeze. I know I'm going to convert from milligrams to grams. And guess what? We've already done that on the page before. 1,000 milligrams equals 1 gram. Right? All right. Each serving has 60, and there are 8 servings. So that's my first step. I'm going to do 60 times 8. 8 times 0 is 0. 8 times 6 is 48. So in the entire container, I have 480 milligrams. But I need to trade it to grams. So from 1,000 to 1, I'm getting smaller, right? So that means I'm going to divide. And I moved it 3 spaces. So I'm going to go 480 divided by 10 to the third. Move that decimal 3 spots. 1, 2, 3. Your answer should be 0.48. That's how you would answer that question. Again, I know it's super tricky. Try your best. We're going to do a lot more with conversions. We're going to do a lot more with these story problems. So just please, please, please try to take as many notes as you can. Again, my suggestion, go watch this conversion video and learn a little bit more about using the King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk, because that's going to make it so much easier. All right, very last question, and I just said it. When we're doing our little saying, what is my way that I remember the metric system conversions? What do I say when I see this box? All right, have a great day, guys.